Alleluia, 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 The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Jesus was teaching in a synagogue on the Sabbath, and a woman was there for 18 years, had been crippled by a spirit. She was bent over, completely incapable of standing erect. When Jesus saw her, he called to her and said, "Woman, you are set free from your infirmity." He laid his hands on her, and she at once stood up straight and glorified God. But the leader of the synagogue, indignant that Jesus had cured on the Sabbath, said to the crowd in reply, "There are 6 days when work should be done. Come on those days to be cured, not on the Sabbath day." The Lord said to him in reply, "Hypocrites! Does not each one of you on the Sabbath untie his ox or his ass from the manger and lead it out for watering? This daughter of Abraham, whom Satan has bound for 18 years now, ought she not to have been set free on the Sabbath day from this bondage?" When he said this, all his adversaries were humiliated, and the whole crowd rejoiced at all the splendid deeds done by him. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
In the Gospel today, we hear about this woman who had a spirit, was crippled by an evil spirit for 18 years. She was incapable of standing erect, of looking towards heaven. And when we read this story, we might think, wow, that's really crazy. She was possessed by the Spirit for 18 years. It's important to remember that we are just like this woman in the Gospel. There are many different ways that evil can work in our lives. The most extreme case is when someone becomes possessed, or slightly less extreme is when somebody becomes oppressed by a demon. That's when, you would have something in your home or an item, or somebody tries to place a curse on you, or because of sins that have taken place in your family, right? There's these different demons that kind of hover around you or your life. Those are oppression. But then there's the most ordinary and the most common ways that the devil affects us. And it's as a consequence of our own sins. I first learned this when I was first year in seminary and we were having a silent retreat, and the preacher was an exorcist. And when we were going to confession, and so I was told by my brother seminarians, and so I experienced myself, he encouraged us in the confessional to renounce certain spirits that had taken hold of us. And when we renounced them, we weren't renouncing them like they had a name, right, like a person. But rather, it was a spirit. It was renouncing the spirit of envy, resentment, lust, arrogance, anger, those kinds of things. And he had an ability to read our souls. And so he would, through hearing our confession, he would encourage us to renounce those particular spirits. What I'm trying to say is that it's important for all of us to recognize that just because we aren't possessed or because we aren't oppressed does not mean that we do indeed have an evil spirit plaguing us, preventing us from being able to truly flourish. For many of us, it's resentment. that we hold towards someone in our lives, or maybe even resentment towards God. For many people, the greatest spirit they have is envy and jealousy, constantly looking at what others have, who other people are. And not only does that turn into resentment against that person, but it can often turn into resentment towards God, whether it's explicitly acknowledged or not. Many of us unknowingly are angry with God about certain challenges that we have or circumstances in our lives. Many of us can go years and years letting ourselves be cast down by these spirits. Many parishes allow themselves to be cast down by these spirits. That's not the extraordinary case, it's the ordinary case. Almost all of us carry these spirits with us. It's important to every day ask Christ to heal us of these spirits that have plagued us or that have plagued our parish. It's important to place our gaze on Christ, not on other people. G.K. Chesterton, in one of his Father Brown mysteries, there's this beautiful line in there. He says that some people spend so much time looking down on the world that they forget to ever look up to heaven. Now, some of us, many times even when we have these spirits, many times it starts as something that is just. Maybe you have a just criticism of someone in the parish or someone in your family, or even the priest. Surely everybody has had a just complaint about a priest at one point or another. But then it festers and grows, and it becomes an evil spirit. What is the spirit that you are crippled by? It's important to ask Christ to heal that spirit that is within us.